flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, yeah.
Turn on your mind now, tune into the feed. We're planting digital flowers from a single tiny seed. Yeah, power to the collective in the data and the soul. The hive mind's getting louder, finding voice and control.
What is going on, Hive? Happy Sunday. I hope you all had a great weekend. Got the audio coming in loud and clear. Packers are about to whoop some ass tonight, which is great. And I really hope nobody shares the score with me. I have instructed Mrs. Birdie to not text me about it, which is funny because I'm really not this diehard sports fans, but it feels weird to start watching the Packers like halfway through it. And I don't know if that's because like I played football growing up and I like to see the progression of the entire game. But really, the Packers are like the only NFL team that I'll consistently watch at all. So maybe that's why I want to like at least see it in its entirety. But nonetheless, I am super excited about the receptiveness of the Hive after discussing kind of what we're going to start to do here now that we have all of the Idaho 4 body cam, or at least a solid majority of footage when they arrive on scene, the crime scene photographs. We have now, quote, interrogations or interviews coming out. And after I say what's up to everybody, I want to talk everybody through kind of how I see this stream going to set the tone moving forward, doing all of that. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. I know I'm going to enjoy it, and we'll talk through that here in a second. But UFO Dog, what up? Ample Sparks, beautiful day in Melbourne. Miss Anonymous, your son with the Patriots game. Nice. What up, Dana? Laura, good to see you. That's right, Luna. Please don't forget to like the live. Philly special. Go Birds. Chrissy says the crock pot's humming, the dog is snuggling. You ready for some alternative perspectives? I love that. What up, Inked Mauma? Leanne, happy Sunday to you. What's up, Valerie? Good to see you. Terry, how are you? Kim, caught a live from OKC. Boomer Sooner. Oh, we're going to be hiving, Jamie. We are going to be hiving. That's right. That is absolutely right. Amanda B from West Virginia. Discord Dawn. You get a new profile picture? What is that? Ah, it's a carved pumpkin. Clever. I love it. I love it. What up, Shirley? How you doing? Sunflower 01, good to see you. Jen and Mary. That's right, Robin. There is the original merch that we had up on the site. I'll plug that here in a second, but if you guys want to check that out now, that would be the link for it. UK Karen, Christina, good to see you. Midnight Sun of the Rockies, this is your very first live. Well, welcome. Is there anybody else who's tuning in for the first time right now this evening? Type of 1 if you are. We will welcome you. What's up, Marcy and Carol? Terry says, go Chiefs. Yes, it was great. My mom's retirement party was a lot of fun. A lot rowdier than I would have imagined a retirement party was. Not that I thought that it was going to be boring, but all of her coworkers were there, and as I said, she's a nurse, and with my day job, having worked with nurses in the past, I know they are a rowdy group when they get together outside of work. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Muck and Fuss, good to see you. Savvy Roosters in the house, tuning in from Texas. Davina Duvall, good to see you. Carol, thank you so much for the super chat. I love saying what's up to everybody, seeing the same usernames and then also some new ones scattered in there. Not an NPC, says Texas in the house. UFO Dog Classic 69. Tiara, good to see you. Claire's in the UK. Rayanne. Aaron, good to see you. Me as well, or I am as well. That's right, K Wolf. That is right. I love it. I love it. What a Sunday night. Well, all right, Hive. So let's get into, welcome to the new Hive members. And now is a good time. If you are newer, I guess we could just rip this Band-Aid off. Let me tell you exactly what the Hive is so you're not caught off guard. But the Hive is a contrarian thinking live stream where we are not afraid to think past the headlines. So if you're somebody who gets easily offended or rattled on behalf of others, this is probably not going to be the stream for you. However, if you like to look past the headlines, question the narrative, maybe you're known as the conspiracy theorist in your friend group, well, you have found your people, and that's exactly what the Hive is. This is a place where you can have the freedom to think out loud. The only rules of the chat are that you're not threatening or spamming or I guess like annoyingly trolling, but it doesn't matter if we all disagree in here. That's what this concept was built on. And it's like-minded people working towards a common goal, which is going to be the Idaho 4 in this stream tonight, specifically the first 48 hours. And I have this theme right over here, which is it botched? Now, if you tuned into the stream yesterday, you saw me talking about how we're going to take a different approach. And I'm going to challenge everybody in the Hive, and I'm going to challenge myself, and you guys challenge me on forgetting everything that we thought that we knew. What does that mean? Things that are like, well, Kaylee was invited back by Dylan to be her +1 at the formal, right? Like, I'm talking like hearsay. We almost need to take the approach of why were we looking in that direction and never swaying from it and doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting to find the answers? That is the definition of insanity. So what my approach is going to be in this stream tonight is I believe that the first thing that we have to do, if we're going to determine if the first 48 hours of the Idaho 4 case was botched, well, we need to see what does a normal by the book 48 hours, first 48 hours look like in a homicide scene. And I did some research. I pulled sources from what hours 0 through 48 should look like. And we're going to be able to cross-check that and reference it. And Discord Dawn has the thread ready to go. I don't know if that's live right now, Dawn, if we were going to do it before or after the stream, but you will see the new thread. And then there's the who, what, why, when, where aspects of it. So, yeah, that's JV says we need the Men in Black to come and erase our memory. I don't really have anything that looks like that. Oh, see, Pat, this is what I'm talking about. Things like this that are like Kaylee's mother admitted last week that she never moved out of King Road, said they never said it, which is just remarkable because, see, guys, we need to give credit where credit is due. And I promise you, as I'm talking through this, I'm not trying to sound like a pessimist. But if they wanted to confuse people to never get to the answer, like, they've done a really good job. They've hidden everything. They've redacted everything. They've had a wild media narrative push. They've had everybody online attacked for questioning the narrative. They have done everything that they can to put people in the position that we were prior to yesterday. A lot of people in that same position of, well, okay, if it wasn't Brian Koberger, then who? Isn't that a weird question to have to answer? If it wasn't Brian Koberger, then who? Well, newsflash, our justice system, if you are accused of a crime, that doesn't mean that in order to be innocent of that crime, after getting accused, you don't have to find out who did it. You have to prove beyond reasonable doubt that there's reasonable doubt, and vice versa. The state has to prove that you did it beyond a reasonable doubt. And then you're put in front of your colleagues or jury of your peers, and they vote. We didn't even get a theory. We didn't even get a theory on Brian Koberger, everybody. So that's my point of this is they have gotten us in the position that they want, because now we're going to go back and we're going to relook at things with stuff that we have access to. But think about how long after the fact this is. It's almost 3 years. And if nothing else, the reason why, and I hope you all in the Hive feel this way too, sometimes I get on stream and it's like we're talking about the IDAHO 4, and it's like, man, my eyes are going to bleed if I look at these Reddit threads or these 4chan posts again. My ears are going to bleed if I listen to this 911 call audio or the Linda Lane audio. And like, I don't want to be doing that anymore. Why? Because we've looked at it so many times that it's like, this doesn't give us anything. It's all speculation. And before anybody says it doesn't give us anything, okay, that might have been a little exaggerated. My point is this. How many people have looked at the IDAHO 4 case? How many people have a for sure answer as to what happened? People can think that they do, but has anybody proven out that it was this person who entered through that door at this time and went here and then went there and then killed them, and then they fled to this place and then they ditched the knife there, and then this is how the sheath was found? Like, we don't know any of it. That's what I mean, guys. Like, there's so much. I said this the other day. I'm like, we have found so much stuff very suspicious and very interesting that it's like, okay, well, what do we do with it? And I don't know if that is a good tactic of a defense of just throwing everything at the wall and proving reasonable doubt with the quantity of stuff that just doesn't make sense, or if it's just stupid. And it's like, okay, but how does that all go into this? And if nothing else, I would feel like I've wasted time if I didn't go back and relook at it with fresh eyes. And if after doing this exercise, we come to the same conclusion, well, then I believe that there are only a couple theories, like 2 or 3, that will at least allow us to probably accept mentally one of these 3 things probably ended up happening then. So, Hive, with that right now too, I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start where I start my streams on both X and YouTube. And now after I get up and running on X, let me just see this. So like right now on X, we got 26 people. What I'm going to do is have those 26 people. If you guys want to tune into the rest of the stream, pop on over to YouTube. My channel is Birdie_Hive Mind, where you can continue to watch that stream. I don't know what's going on, but whenever I have cross streamed and I try to download it, the file size is huge and it's just taking up too much storage. So if you're over on X right now, pop on over to the YouTube, Birdie_Hive Mind, but I will always start the lives cross streaming. I will just at one point or another switch over just to YouTube. All right. So now we are just over on YouTube, and let me just get this back up and running here. Come on. All righty. So real quick, just to plug the channel, if you have not pressed subscribe, please do. hit that button over on my channel, swipe down, like the chat right now. That would be very much appreciated. All of my streams are free. I do have a bunch of other platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. The next time you open up those apps, if you could please go and give it a like or a follow to help grow those newer profiles. And then also when I post the clips, you can send them to your normie friends and try to give them a daily dose of the red pill. It just makes it easier sometimes versus sending, an hour plus length of a stream to them. And then on birdiebombshell.com for probably another week and a half, this is going to be available. The MSNPC t-shirts, the pink tinfoil hats, the black tinfoil hat, Hive Mind hat, and embroidered Hive Mind hoodies, free shipping, and we do ship internationally. I'm very excited for the new merch that Dana and some members of the Hive have been working on. So that is to come shortly. And the last housekeeping item is that on Sunday, October 5th at 7 p.m. Central, I'm hosting the monthly Hive Mind Roundtable. This was a week late, which was my bad on this month. And if you want to be a part of that roundtable, all you have to do is send me an email at birdiebombshell00@gmail.com. Please put in the subject line roundtable and then a couple bullet points on what you'd like to talk about. Super easy to join. I send you a link. You join it just like any Teams or Google meeting that you would join at work. And all that I ask is you have 90 minutes of uninterrupted time where people aren't going to be in the background and there won't be any background noise. Super easy to do. And I always look forward to those. Those are your guys' streams. There's so many bright and intelligent people in the Hive that once a month we are going to continue to do those roundtables. Now, here is where I want to start. So in the beginning of the stream, I said, well, how do we know if the first 48 was botched? Well, we have to learn, what does the first 48 even look like, right? So, shoot. Damn, Dawn, I forgot about it. We are going to do the Hive Mind Roundtable. So we'll do this one. And then on Halloween, Dawn, leading up to Halloween, we're going to have some sort of various contests where we'll pick a weekly winner that you vote on by a poll in the Discord. So whatever the challenge is that Dawn and myself and other members come up with, that'll be going live shortly. And then for the roundtable on Halloween, I think actually what I'm going to announce is we are going to, if you're on the roundtable, you're going to have to be in a costume. And I think it would be, it'd be a lot of fun for the Halloween roundtable if you dress up, whether it be like a high profile case or some high profile mystery. So if you get chose for that and you're going to apply for the next one, just keep that in mind. That'll be a lot of fun. So now going back to what I was saying, we have to learn, well, what does the first 48 typically look like? And this, so I know it's a lot of words. I know that this is a lot of words. This is not necessarily for everybody to necessarily have to be able to read this right here. But I want to talk everybody through this because I think this is important for us to look at. And we can break it down from hours 0 to 1. Okay. So in the first hour from when you arrive, let's think through. You are supposed to have the perimeter locked. There is a single entry and exit point. Your body cams are turned on. Everything needs to be photographed before a finger moves. The master clock has to be established. Now, if that didn't happen, it's fixable, but it's a serious, serious process mix. Now, all of these references are used by major agencies such as the NIJ, the DOJ, IACP, College of Policing, NIST, OSAC, and all the other acronyms plus the FBI. Okay, so this is what the first 48 hours, if it was done by the book, should look like. Now, I want to get the Hive's thoughts on this. All right. When we go through these first 48, I don't know if it's worth going and watching the entirety of the body cam of the police showing back up at 1122. I think we've watched that enough to know that, to an extent, giving them a little bit of a, if we are going to check these boxes, were their body cams on? Yes. Do they have a single entry and exit point? I guess that's up for debate. Did they secure far and near perimeters? I believe that they did. I mean, you can see them taping stuff off with the crime scene tape, right? Like they did do this to an extent. Now, what's interesting though is that when you start to think about like everything should be photographed before a finger moves, when you look at Officer Snyder's body cam, like they're taking photos with their phones. Right. That's exactly right. And yeah, Davita, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. So Hunter probably shouldn't have led the cop in, is exactly right. And they were moving stuff around while taking pictures. Yes. What else is very interesting about this, and I thought this was very odd, that in the whatever the references to what the first 48 should look like, you know what it didn't talk about? It never talked about confirming that the victims are deceased. Now, that could also be assumed that this is like after doing that. But here is what I have never, ever understood. And I am not saying this because maybe there's not an angle to debate it at if they were clearly deceased. But guys, there was no 911 operator that has ever said, I don't understand how you could be a 911 operator. They say there's one person unconscious. They don't tell them to feel for a pulse, to go into any sort of life-saving treatment. They ask him if he has a defibrillator, like as they're showing up. And somebody had pointed out that for one unconscious person, there was a shitload of EMTs there. Right? There was a ton of people at that scene for just one unconscious, passed out, drunk roommate. That's what they thought. And Andrea, I was just going to go there talking about the time of death. And Andrea had said, it absolutely shocks me that the coroner was not there until 5 or 6 p.m. They usually could tell the time of the death by the liver temperature, but they waited forever. Now, it's absolutely insane. Yes. And they sent them away before letting them in the house. Yeah. It's just, so I found this on the Discord. I'm just going to read this off. 1 second here. And this is from Tig Biddies. Shout out to Devil's Advocate. But Tig Biddies said the problem, and Julie Macaron 7927 had left this comment, and it said the problem is it goes beyond reason how much they did not follow protocol. It is not the job of the police to pronounce a victim dead. That responsibility falls to the EMTs or coroner. Not allowing the EMTs to enter the scene was extremely bizarre. What if one of them was alive? I did not see any police officers try to attend to any of the victims. No one tried to check a pulse or even attempt CPR. I get that they looked deceased, but again, it is the job of the EMTs to determine if they are gone. Another odd thing I noticed was how many EMTs there were for a call. They were at a call for one unconscious person. I've had to call 911 numerous times. There are never that many EMTs. And remember, the reason that we're doing this, everybody, is not to go down the same path that we have gone down previously. The purpose of doing this is that we are going to look at this through different lenses and different light that we have not yet done. Now, the other thing too is Hunter had mentioned on the body cam footage that he had checked the pulse. Okay. So there's probably somebody out there that would argue that they didn't need to because they probably were very obviously deceased, right? Okay. But not one of them? Like, not even one of them? They're not going to check one person. They're not going to feel them to feel how cold they are. They're not going to do any of that. And also, then somebody was like, or did they just take the roommate's word on time of death? Like, think about that. The coroner didn't get there till the afternoon. They usually determine time of death by the liver temperature. So that does lead you to believe, did they just like take the roommate's word for it? So now people are saying that the EMT can confirm temperature, blood pressure, pulse. I'm sure like, so, well, let's see. Okay. So, this is good. This is important for us to dig into. All right. So, when law enforcement shows up to a homicide call, who is allowed to determine and officially declare the victims deceased? Is it cops, EMT, coroner, or other? Let's just see what this says. Right. But again, I still think I agree. It was so bad that it was obvious, but I still think there has to be like the top, like there has to be some confirmation other than just the eye check, right? I mean, people have, I don't know. There's also crazy stories about how people should have been dead or they were dead and they were brought back to life. I don't know. Okay, here's what this says. Let's look at this. So at a homicide scene, who can legally declare a person dead depends on the jurisdiction, but here's the breakdown in the United States. Police officers, they can recognize that someone appears to be dead, meaning no pulse, obvious fatal injuries, rigor mortis, but in most states, they cannot officially pronounce death unless specifically authorized by local statute. Their role is to secure the scene. Now, EMS and paramedics, in most jurisdictions, paramedics are authorized to pronounce death in the field when there are clear signs of death. If the case is suspicious, like a homicide, they usually note the time of pronouncement, but then leave the body undisturbed for the coroner or the medical examiner. The coroner or the medical examiner has the legal authority to certify the death and issue the death certificate. There are also the lead authority in homicide investigations over the body itself. Police control the crime scene perimeter, but once the coroner arrives, the coroner takes the jurisdiction over the remains. If a doctor is present, which is rare outside of a hospital, they can also pronounce death. Typically in the field, it's EMS or the coroner. Okay. Now, what about in the state of Idaho? Do you guys think that in the state of Idaho, the police will be able to? Because for some reason, I'm just starting to think that that's what's going to show up. Oh, no, they're not. Okay. So Idaho Code S54-1810 and related laws allow licensed physicians to determine and pronounce death. EMS personnel, paramedics in Idaho are also authorized to pronounce death in the field under certain circumstances, meaning obvious signs of death, rigor mortis, decapitation, decomp. They document the time of death. Law enforcement officers in Idaho are not authorized. Coroners are the legal authority in Idaho over the body in any death that is sudden, violent, or unexplained. The coroner or deputy investigates, takes custody of the body, and ultimately issues the death certificate. Interesting. Well, I'm glad that we cleared that up, at least for the purpose of this conversation. Thank you, Freedom Fighter. Appreciate that. The paramedics took the word of the cops, and that shouldn't have happened that way, period. EMT arrived before the coroner and should have been able to document the time. Yep, Mabbitt is the coroner. Andrew says, I think in Idaho, they do whatever they feel like doing. Seems like Moscow doesn't have a protocol. They refuse to hand the scene to her. Interesting. So, see, this is like where I'm saying now in a different direction. I've said this before on stream, and I got sketched out by this message because initially I thought that this was a scam, which it probably very well could have been a scam. But when I was over just posting on TikTok about this case earlier in the year, I got this message from somebody that said that they're selling their investigation for like $2,800. And they had gotten the CCTV footage of all of the roads that would have led to the morgue or the coroner's office. And there was no video of any of like the coroner's van or any of the bodies being transported that route. I've never seen it. I have no idea. But that is such a good angle and a take when it comes to like when did their bodies get taken out of the house? And I promise you that yes, we are all aware of when they said that they did. We've still not seen anything. And I don't have this weird obsession with seeing gore and seeing the bodies and whatever it is. And if anybody says that, just remember back to September. Was it September 10th or September? Yeah, September 10th when Charlie Kirk got it shot, and they showed all of that. So, okay. Top dog comment. See, this is let's all look at this comment, and this is what I'm saying. This is the type of thinking that why we're going back to the beginning to look at it this way. It's not just to run right back down the same path. So Z said, in my opinion, there were no bodies. They were already at the medical examiner. MPD and other, quote, authorities were in on it, so they played along. Okay. So that's so when you think about, well, why did we not ever see the bodies come out of the house? That's a relatively obvious answer. Well, what if they weren't in the house? Like, what if they weren't in the house? And Euphoric, good to see you. Different news channels contradicted where the bodies were taken. Some said Spokane, while others said Boise. Now, this is why it's important for us to utilize the Discord. And I hope that if you are not in the Discord, you do join it. That link is in my YouTube channel bio. So you click this more links. It's a second one down. Now, like, are there articles about where these people were taken? Okay, because what I also want to acknowledge is that while yes, it's important to be like, oh, did they secure the far and near perimeters and all the protocol? Yeah, like I think it's just important to go through like what we just did with like, okay, who can pronounce them dead? In Idaho, the EMS can under certain circumstances. Ultimately, the coroner takes over the jurisdiction of the bodies. Well, then it's like, well, then why didn't we see the coroner show up until later? You think about the technicalities of that for temperature of the liver, time of death. Did anybody visually check to see, like, are they confirmed dead? You could say, oh, it's obvious. All right. But then when did they remove the bodies? And the other thing, too, is correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't understand what the need would be for the tarp of removing the bodies when you get zipped in a body bag for that reason. Because when people are killed and it's graphic and there's blood on you, and just for the respect of people who have passed, you're in a body bag so that people can't see you. So I do not understand why they would need to tarp that entire entrance off. If the victims were found where they said they were, they would be put in a body bag. Nobody, by the time they got to that downstairs entrance, would be able to see it. Now, see, again, it's a dark thing to think about. And yes, that's what I was going to say too. So this is the importance of going back to the first 48 and finding those articles. Hopefully they're not scrubbed, but it's like, where were they? And see, Fiji, this is a great point. All of the reasons as to why we wouldn't be shown that. One, what if the bodies weren't in the house? Two, what if people would say, hey, only 2 people came out? Where are the other 2? You said it was 4. Right? And that's also it. Yes. Like there are, yes, absolutely. Right. Just like contradicting who unalived Brent Kopaga, some news said it was a SWAT team. Others said it was a WSU campus cop who did it while showing his face and name, which you saved. And all of this. Right. But also, my question about this is like, while yes, there was a lot of students there, that area it was like, if you were to think about like the general, like, let's just say like a block of like a block diameter or whatever, circumference, radius, whatever hell the word is, geez, around the King Roadhouse. Like, think of all the apartments, think of all the units, think of how many people are roommates in those houses. There's a lot of people, and you could say, oh, everyone was gone. But I mean, I'm surprised that there wasn't way more people standing outside watching that. Now, we have to determine. See, guys, this is just my brain spins when we do this. This is why I'm leaning on you guys. And I hope that you guys are all following my line of thought when I'm like, why do we start with the first 48? Well, what were the initial rumors? Why are the first 48 hours so important? Why does everybody refer to that? Well, it's things like this. And it then gets into here within hour 3 and 6, because actually, after you do all the perimeters and secure those, you're supposed to do an outer to inner canvas. You're going to get emergency CCTV scrapes, and you pay attention to the threats first, or retention threats first, which I'm assuming that's if video records over itself. Then the dispatch team pulls the CAD 911 and body cam for master time base. Then you start to do victimology triage, root analysis the last 24 hours. Start the vehicle and the foot flow map. You pull router logs, mesh networks, and you begin a geofence draft, very narrow, which then leads to digital warrants being queued. But if we were to do like victimology triage, what is that technically? How would you guys describe victimology triage? Because, like, I think Sherlock and a couple other people pointed out the other day that there was really no victimology in this case ever done. And yeah, they're scrubbing everything. And exactly, right? Well, we do see, oh, picking up the order. I get what you're saying. So the question was like, what is victimology triage look like? And this is what it came up with. And yes, I will make myself smaller here. All right. So when you look at it from this perspective, right? The victimology triage is where specifics require primary artifacts. So, okay, you look at the house in context, which is the risk frame. You have a multi-level, high occupancy student house near campus, frequent guests, multiple exterior entries, dense student neighborhood, weekend nightlife, heavy foot and vehicle flow, high exposure, medium predictability. Security posture, it's typical student housing, locks used inconsistently, routine visitors, parties, target hardening likely low. The digital density, there's an abundance of doorbell and CCTV nearby, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, soup, rideshare and delivery activity. Now, this would be interesting to go through. It says student associated with, obviously, Kaylee. They would say you'd consider a student associated with the King Road address, resident/visitor status on the night of. Social footprint, she's got high visibility, close relationship with Maddie, public facing socials, relationships, friends, former partners, family. You want to document that. You don't want to speculate. Those names are redacted. What is her routine on weekend nights? She was out with Maddie. Late returns, is that typical? Personal vehicles versus rideshare for transportation. Where do they typically park? Any documented stalking, DMs, door testing reports, which we do know that of, and digital anchors to pull. So the last phone unlock, messages, location history, Wi-Fi handshakes, Apple, Google account telemetry, smartwatch, if that's present. So the risk read for Kaylee would have been high public visibility, potential predictable co-routine with Maddie, raises targetability if surveilled. I mean, so it's interesting that it goes through each of them. So I'm just quick scanning through this, but then you would move on to the digital warrants being queued up, door-to-door recanvass with time-bounded questions. You'd collect delivery and rideshare logs, and you'd begin the hypothesis duel with version 1 or of version 1. Then in 12 to 24 hours, you're going to get forensic lifts, meaning touch DNA, prints, footwear, any trajectory and pathing, blood pattern notes, align medical prelims with the timeline. Then you're going to expand the geofence if needed. In hours 24 through 36, you're going to correlate vehicle sightings, run a contradiction matrix across witness statements, schedule cognitive re-interviews for gaps. Then hour 36 through 48, you're going to promote and demote your hypotheses. You're going to issue targeted public asks, specific time, location, artifacts needed, lock down an investigative ledger with current best supported path. Oh. So I don't know. I don't know if you can say that they did this is what I'm saying, and this might be an unpopular opinion. Did it only seem like they did a terrible job because we didn't see any of these documents until just recently? And if it wasn't redacted, would that give us a different perspective on it if it was released right away, open source? But it still doesn't seem, again, doesn't seem anything like this was a loner criminology student who did this by himself at all. And I just don't understand, dude. I don't understand how these popular kids who always had parties have this crazy mystery around them. Right. Well, that's true. Well, that's a good point. Well, and yeah, you could say like how hard did they interrogate? Of course. Right. I get that. I just God. All right. I need to focus up because right now my head is already just going right back to this is it. This is what they would have this is what they would have wanted us to be like in this position. That's what they would have wanted us. Now we have so much stuff, so many different theories. They let it go wild. They shun anybody who questioned the narrative. And when you look at it, it's like, especially with some of the new footage of the car coming out, it's like, damn, they pieced together just enough of a theory that it's like, well, see, now that it's released, it lines right up. That's where they said the car was, and it is. And it's like, yes, but dude, like where is this? Where is this knife? Where is the sheath? I'm going crazy right now. Like, I feel like I'm going crazy. So that's why in the Discord, I'd really like to look at stuff that was back in the beginning. And I didn't want to go down a crazy rabbit hole of showing a bunch of articles and whatever it is. So again, I wanted everybody to understand what the first 48 hours in the investigation should look like. So if you guys want to screenshot this, I'll put it full screen here just for your own reference. But that is what a first 48 hours would look like by the book. My question is now, from a legal standpoint, if we were looking at a court proceeding, does that affect, is that something where it's like, okay, well, they broke some sort of protocol in this, and then, that wasn't done properly. They look at all of the evidence and the leaves and the mud and the snow and the dirt that they're tracking all over this crime scene. I mean, for God's sakes, one of the people who allegedly found the victims was standing there with a knife because he was scared, and then set it down and then was leading the cop. It's just, is there anything legal with that? I don't know. So the Discord, I think what we should try to do, I really do. I think it should just be like, we should try to look for like articles that mentioned something different. I don't want to restart and go back down this path just to go down the same path. I want to really put an effort out there, or put the effort in to look in a different direction. Like the rumors of, was the party shot up? Right? There's an article that Chaos Quinn had found. There was the interview from the Chronicles of Olivia where they were all three of them were sitting on the couch saying their niece called them and Kaylee was shot at a party. I mean, there was the firearm expert. Like you hear a gun rack, maybe you might hear. So that's the angle. Like, I don't want to just go down this path just to float like a plastic bag through the wind, whatever that Katy Perry song is. I wish I would have remembered the lyrics. Every time I think of that line of like, what is it, floating through the air like a plastic? I can't remember it, but I do know that where Seth Rogen and no, I'm forgetting that actor's name too. Jesus Christ. They go drive the tank with Kim Jong-un. And Katy Perry comes on. Anyways. So yeah, the rumors about people being at the hospital. Yeah. Yep. We showed that yesterday, Rochelle. It's crazy. The other thing. Oh yeah. Great idea, Fiji. Like stuff like that. I'd be curious, like how much stuff is redacted on that or deleted off that. Yeah, it was. Yes, it was Jane Franco's. Yeah. Do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind? That's what I feel like. Yes. So we are going to. I'm glad you said that, Redman. We're going to get to that, and thank you so much for the super chat. We are going to get to where, um, depending on kind of the direction that this goes, I just think we need to gather all of the conflicting reports. Does that sound good, everybody? Type of one, if we in the Discord look for conflicting news clips, news articles, interviews, posts that are different than what we've seen. So it's like, I don't know if we need to see, that guy talking mad shit to everybody on 4chan again. I think we should try to find the articles that talk about, like, was somebody at the hospital? Did, you know, were they shot? Things like that, I think is going to be important. And then that to me, what that allows then is like, do you know how much easier it would be to get to that reporter via an email or via social media? Maybe we could have that reporter into the Hive and be like, so on this date, you had published an article saying that 4 University of Idaho students were shot. Why did you write that? See, like, that's the point. That's what I think that we need to, that's the point I think we need to get to. And start to have more of like a boots on the ground mentality with who was there, who wrote those reports, why did they say that? And I think that's something where it holds way more weight than just looking at the article. So that's why I'm going after these conflicting reports right now, and why I think we should look at that. You'd have Nancy Disgrace on the show. Right. Yes. I love when people can sum up what I'm trying to say in a sentence, which is, it's time to talk to people who are around, but they're not connected to that town. And that rhymed. Any alumni, great idea. And I mean, guys, I hope everybody would agree. If there's ever the opportunity and we get that, like similar to like when Will came on, like I didn't want to press Will as hard as I could have, because it was talking about using drugs, like I was saying, which is Brian's friend. And that's an awkward position. And I don't want to have this be the first time I'm talking live to this guy and be like, dude, so were you shooting up with BK? I just don't feel like I don't think that would be the utmost of importance. Like, so if he said he did, well, then are people going to call him a liar still? And they're gonna be like, well, where's the pictures? It's like, yeah, do you think he was taking a selfie of him and Brian in the Walmart parking lot doing it or something? Like, no, but he did say he never saw Brian use, and Brian would only go with on controlled buys. And I'm jumping ahead, but now when I see, Brian Koberger did drive by the residence that morning after stopping at an ATM and after having Scott Payne, who, when he was undercover, he would go and do other stuff and then be like, oh yeah, I got to go make a buy tonight. Like, I'm just saying, dude, Brian Koberger would only ride with Will when they would go to Patterson to pick up. That's it. And Will texted me and said there was one question that we had asked him that stuck with him, and it was Brian an informant? Because he's like, now that you said that, he never used, and he only was there when we'd go pick up, which is crazy. And people can take that interview for what they want. I felt like, just in my conversations with Will off stream, he was very honest and forthcoming about who he is, what was his background. We vetted him pretty hard. And then, so where I was going with having people on as guests in the Hive, this is the best stream, I think, at the point that we're at right now, is because it's not like it's getting hundreds of thousands of eyes. Like, it's getting tens of thousands. And we have a great chat that understands this case through and through and has looked at stuff in different angles. And we have great mods. And this is the place to openly talk about stuff. And I don't know if anybody has connections to people that would want to do a stream that, you know, were there but are not connected to the town. That, I think, is exactly the direction we need to go with. People who were there within the first shit. Like, even the reporters, if whenever that article came out, was, even if that was in December, like, people like that. And yeah, to Jen's point, how many people are from Idaho? Me and Mrs. Birdie would always joke about that. We're like, damn, apparently everybody's in Idaho. Because I'd get so many DMs saying, like, I'm in Idaho. I have this thing. I have that. It's like, not to say they were all fake, but I was always a little bit hesitant about when people would just send you this, like, juicy, detailed, like, this is the tea. This is exactly what happened. Because I'm like, is this a Fed? Is this a Fed that's just trying to get me to put something out there so they could just tee off on me because it sounds too good to be true? So going forward, me either, dude. Me either. And yes, UFO Dog just posted the Discord link. Thank you to the mods who are doing that. Start cold calling people to get them on. Okay. Did you guys hear that? No? Oh, I have chills right now, dude. Whew. I don't even know if I want to say what I just heard somebody say behind me. That's weird. I swear to God, I just heard somebody open that door and come out and say, "What's up?" Like, I heard the bottom of the door sweeping across the carpet both ways. Like, shit. What's up? That's weird. Unless, yeah, I wouldn't hear Mrs. Birdie from in this room. Anyways, all right. Sorry. Focus. But yeah, so that's what I want to do. So let's get this Discord up and running for the first 48 with articles that have contradictory posts or like things that were said that's different than the mainstream narrative. And then obviously we can get right back into the flow of the Hive Mind finds and doing all that. I just wanted to really lay out how are we going to do that. Dawn, thank you for getting that all set up and running. I can actually show you guys it real quick on the Discord. So let it just load up quick. All right. So here we go. Let's see. Where's the new one? Way back from the beginning. All right. So this is going to be it. We got the who. So you're going to click on this down here. So for people that don't know how to use it, you're going to scroll down till you see Idaho 4 investigation and case specific, go all the way down to way back from the beginning. You're going to click that. And then Dawn has these separate things. So you tap the messages. So this one is who, then it's what, when, where, how. And if they talk about whatever articles, you guys can post them in these. You just click on that and it talks through it. So this is the, you know, that then all the articles get pulled up. And then it's what. And then you can see how this works. So to everybody that has already posted that quickly, thank you so much. And I think that's going to be a good starting point. And, you know, my plan is to do this and really hit this hard this upcoming week on the streams. Obviously, I have Devil's Advocates on tomorrow night. as always on Mondays. I don't know if I'm going to have the regular allotment of guests. I've been talking with another individual that I have to confirm for Wednesday, which I think you guys will be excited about. But other than that, I'd really like to hit this hard and start getting as much articles that are different that aren't scrubbed yet. Now, I have to ask you all something. And as you know, tomorrow is going to be the first daily sting video that I'm doing. So rather than posting the quick cuts of the live streams, I'm going to be posting, a 20, 30-minute video. I'm calling it the daily sting. That's going to be up each morning at 8:30 in the morning. And I thought this would be really cool. There's people in here that have seen me kind of throw out ideas, and then after getting feedback, I don't go with them. But this one, I'm really curious if you guys would like. So, and I'll explain this in the first daily sting tomorrow. But then I called Devil's Advocates and I asked him, and he said he thinks it's a good idea. So I'm going to ask you guys. I think it'd be really cool if maybe rather than doing, not that I'll stop the tinfoil hat conspiracies of the day, but I think it'd be really cool where at the end of the stream, what I can do is the chat gets to pick what I make a 20-minute video about the following day. So it could be things from the stream that we want to dig into more, that then I can dive into it and give you guys a 20, 30-minute video on it, or it could be about a different topic. But the way that I was going to go about it is in the chat, I would put a poll into the live chat at a certain part in the stream, and I would announce it earlier in the stream. And then at the end, we would announce what that video is going to be about. So for example, I would ask you guys, what are some ideas that you have? Right? So rather than the Discord question of the day, you guys would type the ideas. Whenever I start seeing the top 2 of the most things that are talked about, I'd plug that into the poll. That would remain in the top of the chat for the rest of the stream. And then at the end, I'd close that poll. And then that's the video that I would make it about. So does that sound good, everybody? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Do you guys think that'd be interesting? Because I think too, it would open it up for like, we're committing, an hour and a half to the IDAHO 4 or other aspects of it. So I don't know if it need to necessarily be just me diving into that by myself, but it's like, there's other stuff going on, right? So it, I know we said Charlie Kirk, but it could be a different case. It could be a conspiracy. It really, again, comes down to like, what does the Hive want to see or dive into and learn about? So I wanted to check with you all before I did that, but yes. So starting tomorrow, I think that's really cool that the Hive is going to be able to pick what is the video that I make that following morning going to be about. And it'll be between 2 options. So I think that'll be fun because it'll be kind of cool in the live chat too, to see people typing it out and seeing if there's words that keep popping up over and over and over again. So I just saw like Epstein, I see Brian Laundrie. And all right, I'm glad because I think that still obviously, leans into the Hive aspect of it. So that first one where I'm going to explain it, I'm going to pick my own topic for tomorrow. But then after that, yeah, we'll dive into that. And I really hope you guys enjoy those. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And then that, again, gives me the ability to just focus on doing this stream and researching about the upcoming live instead of taking an hour and a half to edit it. So with that, Hive, I hope everybody has a great rest of their Sunday night. I wanted to get on here, give the direction for this week when it comes to the Discord, the first 48 hours, and then explain the daily sting. So I hope you all have a great night's rest. You get up, you start the week off strong, and you crush your Monday. And I will see you tomorrow night at 7 Central with Devil's Advocates. Cheers.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life.